Oven Podcast. Your table is ready. You can follow me.
Welcome to another episode of the Oven Podcast, where we enjoy a THC-infused dinner with a new guest every episode. Please don't forget to subscribe. We have our page on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, and just about anywhere you can listen to a podcast. Tonight, we're back at Jackson's in Comac.
We're back home, baby.
Chef Poole has the oven preheated, and we're sitting down with the Psychic Godfather, Jason Donegan.
In my hometown of Comac, which
That's
is
right,
fantastic.
that's right.
So I have to thank you, and I really appreciate you inviting me. With my Italian and Irish heritage, you know, you say dinner, I'm on my way.
No, we want to thank you for coming, man. This is full circle for us. You know, we've been wanting you to come on for a while, so you know, so happy to
You're
have
going
you.
through so many new beginnings, Franco. We have a really good bond because you and I met unexpectedly in the cosmos, basically. We couldn't have got any better than if Tesla would have connected us, okay, wire to wire.
That's it.
And then we brought Mario in, which is fantastic, which, you know, used to basically, okay, been friends for a very long time.
I can't shake him.
Well, you can't shake them because, you know, you're twins. And, you know, it's like I had a good friend, Tommy Ryan, and I was about 7, 8 years old. He goes, sit down, Johnny, because that's my legal name, Johnny. Jason is my stage name. And he pricked me, and we became blood brothers. And that's what it's all about. You're comrades, okay, from youth.
That's it.
And that's really, really healthy. And you always had that type of personality that you were a prankster. Okay, you were always getting on his nerves, okay? And then what happens is that he had to outdo you, okay? And then basically you were basically doing a dance all the time, you know? And then, you know, with Mario and Rose.
Rose is, I have a niece, Rosalie.
Rosalie, okay.
She's my goddaughter.
Because your goddaughter, okay, is very proud of you. And what it is, the family is very proud of you. And this is why you basically are going to be blessed for the next 7 years and more. Because you basically give to your family. Because you're a keeper, and you basically love family. And then you got to basically be positive, let go of all the, you know, times that you start thinking about different situations and let it all go. Okay, because this is your year, which is very good. Now, Franco, I know, okay, through Tesla and being wired together, okay, he'll tell that story later, which is a lot of fun.
Yep.
But you guys definitely have a great new beginning here in the Oven Podcasting.
Thursday,
So when we
forward.
say smokers, okay, and this is 2023, we're definitely speaking about real smokers. Okay, smokers which we're proud of,
Yep.
okay, to use. So the name of that smoke would be, Mario?
Marijuana.
Marijuana.
That's it.
Which is a very good healing, okay, flower, as you and I know.
Yep, for sure. And I'm happy that you're joining in today because I didn't know I know you don't really smoke too much, but I mean, go tell us the story. Tell us the last time that you smoked.
All right, the last time I smoked, I was with a very good friend. We'll call him Luigi. And I was at his house for Thanksgiving, so it has to be about 4 or 5 years ago. And he has a son named Nicky, and Nicky came out and said, "You smoke?" And I said, "Occasionally I smoke." And then he said to me, "Well, I have some good stuff." He goes, "But make sure that you don't fall on the floor like my uncle or like my family members." So what happened? It turned out I smoked, I was relaxed, I enjoyed Thanksgiving, I had no pain, and my dystonia, because I do have dystonia, which is the cousin's disease to Parkinson's, calmed me down. So that was excellent. Wow. So I believe in it wholeheartedly.
Awesome. Amazing.
All right, so we got the lobster egg rolls.
Yep.
We got the spinach and artichoke pizza.
Yes, we do.
We got the onion soup.
Yes, we did, which is very bland. It doesn't have what we...
The only thing at the table without the THC right now.
So, again, we always go back to New York Pot Butter, NYPB. We're the ones that, you know, do all the infusion for all the food on the oven. Today, like Mario said, we have the spinach and artichoke pizza that's infused with NYPB olive oil. And Mario right now is dipping the lobster egg rolls in an infused sauce. It's actually our mix of barbecue and hot sauce. Yeah?
Are you tasting it? Okay, can I join you with
Of course,
one of these?
jump on in.
Okay.
This
Like
is for
I said, the
everybody.
last time I was enjoying a healing was Thanksgiving with my good friend Luigi. who happens to own Mataloni's Jewelers here on Jericho Turnpike.
Oh my God.
That's a good lobster egg roll.
So I love that. Like the last time you smoked was, partook in the activities was almost 4 years ago, and then come full circle. Here we are in the
Well,
oven.
it's 4 or 5 years ago, and what happened is that I do have dystonia, so I became extremely relaxed. And before, when I did smoke, casually, recreationally, is that what they call it?
Yep.
I always had to be by the pool, and I always had to be sunning or I had to be sailing, and I was enjoying myself. And I was always the type that when I wanted it, it would present itself. And I would feel good about myself. Mm-hmm. And I felt that I was always feeling relaxed. And I think this is really good for a lot of people that have neuropathy, okay, that have anxiety and stress, because it brings you, okay, to that momentum on a different plane. And that plane, even when you're in that plane, okay, you can still function, okay, and basically control anything that you're doing, because what it is, it basically focuses you, which is better than psychotropic drugs.
Yep.
Because people get addicted to psychotropic drugs, and then what happens is that there's different type of reactions. Now, it's very interesting because, a lot of people, and even celebrities like Anderson Cooper, his brother was given probably a psychotropic drug, and, unfortunately he stepped off the balcony, and it was a tragedy. But because of that, okay, he didn't know he was stepping off a balcony.
Of course not.
He thought he was actually maybe diving into a swimming pool, because the chemical changes the thought process, and then it switches your surroundings. So you could be thinking of something like a great memory, like you're swimming in a pool.
Yep.
And speaking about Anderson Cooper, a friend of mine said to me over at Nesacog, wouldn't it be nice to meet Anderson Cooper? And I said, no, let's not talk about Anderson Cooper, because a good friend of mine, Elizabeth Boss, who was the editor to the editors of the letter for the New York Post, loved Anderson. And every time I gave her a reading, tell me about Anderson. Am I ever going to meet him? Well, with this, I'm in Nesacog and on Harbor Road, and which connects to head of the harbor. Mm-hmm. And I'm at this Sanford White, the architect's house that he designed for his sister-in-law, Kate Witherill. All of a sudden, I look up, and who's on the property with the real estate agent and one of his friends, Anderson Cooper.
Wow.
I said to my friend Kim, you are not getting out of the car. We are going straight up the driveway. He's with a real estate agent. And I said, I don't want to hear about Anderson because he's here professionally and we're not going to disrupt him. So these are the things that are really, really good psychically, because what happens is that when you're dealing with anything with healing, okay, cannabis is a very good healing tool. And I firmly believe in that, because basically it brings you very centered and very focused.
For sure.
Sadly, I lost a very good business partner, friend, mentor, and much older man than me. His name was Aaron Greenstein, and we had the tea room downtown Brooklyn. At that time, the tea room was the Scotch Tea Room, and he worked in the tea room. In fact, he was one of the owners. And what happened, he came down with cancer, and he was a father to me. And what did the doctor say? Have him smoke joints.
Yep.
And then he was smoking them, and that was easing, okay, the pain that he was going through. And it works much better, I really believe, than having patients on morphine.
Oh, morphine is terrible.
Right.
I used to work in healthcare, so.
So you
I
know.
have a
So
little bit of
let's
knowledge on
talk about opiates. I mean, let's put it on the table. What's bad and what's good?
So, I mean, I'm not a doctor or anything. I wouldn't say that I'm like too qualified to comment
You're a
too
dentist.
in depth. But
We're at the Psychic Godfather round table. We're like the Templars. Go ahead.
so, I worked in the ER, so I saw the effects of some patients coming in on morphine. I would chart for the doctors when I graduated from college. While I was in college, I had an internship at a pain management practice in Baltimore. And you just see how much you could just see on someone's face when they're on those types of painkillers that they're just not themselves.
Yep.
Like you're not being like you're not your genuine self. You're it's either you're craving the next dose because you're starting to feel yourself again, or you seem almost so out of it or drained from the dose that you're taking, and you keep building a tolerance, so you need more and more and more, and before you know it,
Like anything.
you're walking around drooling on yourself.
That's true. That's very true. So what would you recommend? I mean, you've been in the ER, you've seen everyone, so you have a very good, solid foundation, okay, of people that you worked with already. So you're already...
I love picking their brains. I left the healthcare field, and I that was my favorite part, working with the PAs, the nurse practitioners, the doctors, and just picking their brains and just being a sponge and holding on to whatever they told you, and just you get a different understanding of the human body, medications, and things like that. That was always interesting to me.
But your shamanistic abilities came out. So that's what you're working with now, which is excellent.
You got to elaborate that for me.
Well, what's happening is that you were thrown into, 3 different shifts within the last, I would say, 15 to 16 years. You wanted to be centered, you have a very good background with medicine, chemistry, biology, but you couldn't find yourself because you're very creative as well. So you were trying to find out the balance, like a Libra, So what happened is that what you did is that you threw yourself into it, and then you had to basically develop on your journey. And you did develop on your journey by going into, the health practice, and healthcare you're very compassionate, and you're a healer. You're bringing in your healthcare, your real estate. Eventually, you're going to be working with affordable housing, building, and there's a spectrum out there for all of us. There's success for everyone. My mother taught me downtown Brooklyn. She would say to me these words: there's plenty of money for everyone. And what your ideas are, and your good ideas that you've basically experienced and you brought together, it's like putting it into your mind in a journal. Affordable housing for people that are addicted, that are abused, domestic violence, and you have compassion, for people, not just shamanistic, abilities. I mean, you could have went the direction of social work, the CSW, is it?
I think it's clinical licensed social worker, so CLSW.
There you go. I mean, that was another path that you basically thought about. And now I don't know you, and I just met you, my buddy over here, Franco, which is your buddy for a long time, he basically said to you, I'm going to make this guy appear, that I know from the cosmos. And what it is, that's how we know each other. We have a cosmic relationship and friendship. And what it is, when he was speaking with you, you were like, wow, it's like, are you sure? Was the THC really getting to you? Because he wasn't. And this is why it's really great to be invited to do a podcast unconditionally and to see you guys prosper, because this is what it's about, and educating everybody on how they can be healed and how they can use THC and how it can work within their lives. We want to basically be round table, because this is your round table, and you're going to be continuing, with podcast after podcast. And how did you come up with the name Oven Podcast?
I'm so happy you asked.
Yes.
So, full circle goes back to my buddy Josh.
Yes.
So when we first started smoking, like 9th, 10th grade, his mom was really, really chill about the whole fact that, we were not going out and, getting drunk and causing problems around town, getting arrested, anything like that. We were just trying to, we're all baseball players, growing up. So we would go back, smoke, hang out, play charades in the basement, take stupid pictures. We were making vines before there were vines, before vine was a thing. So
Prankster.
So we were having fun. And we were always in the basement. So but when we opened the door, the smoke would just pour out of the place.
Cloud, like the Grateful Dead. That's another story. Go ahead.
So we called the basement the oven. I'm happy you brought up grounding. I've been grounded for the last couple of months now. At least once a day. Most of the time at night. I like going out at night when it's a little chilly. And just put my feet on the ground. Sometimes I bend down, put my hands. I'm telling you, man, it does a little. It's like the littlest thing, but it makes me feel just a little bit more in tune with myself and
Well, you know what? It depends. Yeah, on the earth, and then also the water, and it would be the filters, the water filters. okay, what it is, and you get grounded, and your body feels it. You've been feeling it.
Yeah,
and
no,
so
for sure.
you've been anchored, which is very healthy.
I think there's an electron exchange that goes on between your body and the
Yeah,
earth.
no,
and
there
you're
is.
actually recharging, I think. And it's important, I think, to fight certain disease and certain illnesses and ailments to realign the energy of your body.
Well, Mother Earth is telling us,
Right.
okay, what to use. I
Yeah.
mean, we're instinctually, psychically, it tells us what we need to basically use. I mean, it's there for a reason. And what it is that Mother Earth, okay, has her own apothecary for us to use.
Mm-hmm.
And then by using it, it's very good. Look, I mean, we look back in the day, Coca-Cola was using cocaine
Yeah.
within
which is
the
nuts.
beverage. Yes.
It's like Jack 3D back in the day.
Now they have a plantation in Hawaii. They have special, federal rights. Okay, and Coca-Cola is our biggest beverage. It's one of my favorites. But I also enjoy Pepsi too.
Yeah, for sure.
But
Diet Pepsi.
where was the genesis? Where was the beginning? They used a medicine that somebody came up with. Okay, their inventor invented using cocaine. Why? Because it was helping people. It was healing people, and also it suppressed the cough.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, I had no idea when I worked in the hospital. I didn't know that there was a section of the pharmacy in there that had cocaine in it. I thought the doctor was kidding at one point, but yeah, like they keep cocaine for certain uses.
Yes.
That's actually nuts.
And yes, and also heroin. Which I was very surprised to read because I have a good friend who is a nurse, Adrienne Malgioglio, and I was speaking to her last night, and she said to me, when I was having surgery, that's exactly what they used. So there are, medicines out there, okay, that do help us, and then we have to basically use them. And THC is basically the best that we can use, okay, because it's all natural. It comes from the earth. And what it is that you're not going to have any side effects or after effects. I don't believe in basically the percentiles of this survey and the percentiles of this survey. Everybody is individualistic, okay? And
You didn't survey
basically-
me. You didn't survey me either, so I don't know about this. I don't know about
a
this
lot of
survey.
the negative side effects, I think that comes from us. That's tainted
Well,
THC.
100%.
It's laced with something. It was processed a certain way. When I was in Jamaica, that earthy stuff I was smoking, that was the best high I ever had.
Well, now they're spraying, lab-made terpenes.
Pesticides too,
So
right?
it's terpenes on that gives it a good flavor, but you're getting all these fake bags from China, fake flour, just tempered flour from China, and it's a really bad look for the marijuana market right now, which is why the black market is still number one.
I actually want to touch back on what you said. I don't know why the guests always come for me on the show, but he brought up affordable housing for me. You brought up some sort of social work for me.
Yes.
So I just want to let the listeners know that
Please.
you were.
Go ahead,
So
Ezra.
what you said in the beginning, you were 1,000% spot on. Franco even went like this to me. And what you just said there, you were spot on 100%. So when I was trying to figure out how do I get out of the management world, the corporate world, I was looking up life coach. I was looking up, for me to be a life coach, because I always felt like I had the compassion.
You are a life coach. You don't need a certification. Go ahead.
He's my life coach.
So, and then I was looking at, again, the compassion, being a fundraising coordinator. I even looked into, getting into some sort of counseling, but it was always, I didn't have that degree to get in there, and I didn't want to go back to school. My sister's a single mom. I thought about starting a charity for single moms. I know you thought about, getting into affordable housing for those who are affected by drugs or domestic violence. So that kind of clicked there for me in that sense, what you said. And I invest in real estate, like I said, and today I just found out that one of my tenants is going to be Section 8, right? So affordable housing, and I always thought
Which is
about that
excellent.
route.
I didn't even know this.
Just call me up. I'll tell you everything.
Right?
I'm gonna be
Yes.
calling you every day.
No more secrets.
Any dirt I need on him? Oh, man.
Yeah. So and again, I've had that desire for more, and that's where the business always came in. Again, I always had the passion for science, and I wanted to help people. And that's how I kind of combined healthcare with management, because it tickled my mind in the business sense, but I wanted to help people. And so here I am the past couple months, I'm like, you know, with real estate, like, you're the landlord. You know, you control the price of rent. You know, like, as long as your expenses are made, are being accounted for, and you're making a little bit of money for yourself, you have to take care of yourself to take care of other people, you then, you know, you can decide what rent's going to be. You can help this person, help that person. You can be the person providing affordable healthcare, affordable housing. So, you know, it blew my mind when you said all that. So I had to let the viewers know that
Well,
you were
I'm
spot
glad
on.
you let the viewers know. That's all it's about, is helping hands, and that's called the praying hands. And that's what you have. You have that innate and spiritual ability, okay, to help people. So what you went through was you were put into a maze, which is called the labyrinth. And what it is that you had to walk through all those different sections, okay, and then each section was like Alice in Wonderland. You were learning different lessons in your life, and now you're cohesive and you put it together. And this is part of your life journey, and then also educating people how well they can also benefit from THC, okay, and feel, okay, that their life has a value, and not have the stigma, okay, from people saying, oh, what you're doing is wrong.
Yep.
That's very
It's not
important.
like that anymore.
Not at all.
All right, we're back. We got
We're
dinner
back.
on the table. Our good friend Jason over here, he's enjoying the good old-fashioned mashed potatoes, cream spinach, and what kind of steak did you go with?
I think this is a skirt steak.
Skirt steak,
Skirt steak,
New York
yeah.
skirt steak, caramelized onions on top. Me and Mario, in honor of LSU winning their first championship in the men's College World Series. I don't know when the last one is that they won, not 2012, but in honor of that, we got our little Creole Baton Rouge specialty here, the jambalaya, which, let me tell you, Chef
the
Harry's
juju
jambalaya is insane. So
And you got your juju here. This is going to be a lucky night and a lucky year.
that's it. Mario's been saying that for a while now. So,
I've been saying, year of the Franco.
yep.
Since the beginning
2023.
of 2023, I said, Franco, man, this is your year. I said, this is the year of the Franco.
It was my
Well, who
baseball
is the
number.
best psychic in the world?
Other than you?
No, I'm not the best psychic in the world.
Best psychic in the
The
world?
best psychic in the world. Who's the best psychic in the world?
Is this a trick question?
Possibly.
Is it us and our intuition?
Exactly.
Come on.
Bang!
Come on. You put the pinky ring on,
You,
too.
you did it, and you found your ring as well on your own.
I did. It was in my pocket, guys.
Well, you know, anything we lose here tonight will definitely be found. That's a fact. But no, I really want to talk about how we met, because it's basically around the time that you were talking about the last time that you smoked,
Yes.
almost 4 years ago. So, one of our best friends, Josh, Josh. Me and him jumped into the real estate game a little.
I got to pause Franco for a second. Our producer's telling us that we got to talk about the food more. This jambalaya is incredible. And that's coming from the heart. Harry, I love it.
And
I've been looking forward to this.
And the steak is delicious, and the mashed potatoes, this is like the best.
Harry's the man.
This is what we
And how
came
are
here
you
for.
doing with the jambalaya? Should we go to New Orleans or just stay in Comac?
I have no problem eating here in Comac,
Okay.
but whenever you want to take a trip to New Orleans, you let me know.
All right, we're going to have to do a parade here. I'm doing shows, and do you know how much money I get paid?
How much?
Take it out.
You're making per show, I mean, it depends where it is, right? Depends on the venue. Mm-hmm. I'm going to say 20K.
Zero. I don't take a professional fee.
Oh, wow.
So you know what it's like when I walk in and they ask me how much? What's it for? The veterans. My father was the commander-in-chief. How could I take anything from you? I said, you guys protected me. I just did it. You can read I sent you the articles, right? I kept on shooting him articles because I said, Franco and I have a relationship that, we're out there in the cosmos, and basically there was a strict, like a strict energy that we were going through. Then I said, wait, I got to send him information. I was sending him back and forth. Then I called up the newspaper. I said, hey, wait a minute. That great article that says I wowed St. James, I said, the page is down. Get it back up. And all these people are political. They're John Kennedy, Suffolk County Controller. Leslie Kennedy, his wife, the 12th District Legislator. I walked in and was introduced to Natalie Weinstein. She owns the theater, and she made a mistake by doing a foundation, and Weinstein Realty owns it, and you got to keep arm's length. So what happened? She stepped down, and I did a show. She goes, how much? I said, I'm not charging anything. Because I went with my heart, I sent you my office. She's an interior decorator. She helped me do the office downstairs, which was her husband's. I have the keys, just in exchange for doing my shows. They're making like $3,000, and I'm supporting them. And I said, put another show on, put 2 shows on so I can pay the rent. I said, and then we're going to basically get this up and running for St. James. And this is what you do. You both knew each other in a past life. I knew it right away when I walked in.
Did we like each other?
You got along. It was a love-hate relationship.
It still is.
Yes, which is very good. You can't live with each other. You can live without each other. If you have a problem, you're both calling each other.
That's fact.
That's actually so funny you bring it up. I asked him yesterday.
What
I go, I was like, why don't we just get a house together? And he goes, honestly, if I'm not sleeping with you, you're not living with me.
That was a good way of saying no.
Oh, no, I was like, you know what?
I like my space. I like the house the way I like it.
I'm good on the house.
Oh man, it's so funny.
Listen, you still can live together because you know what? You're not going to have that problem. You know why? You get along so well, okay, that nothing's going to bother either one of you. You know, and if something does bother you, just clean it up. I mean, that's what friends do. You know, but
It's so funny that you're saying all this because I have an ex-girlfriend, and she said to me not too long ago, she says, we're not meant for each other because your soulmate is Frank.
I fucking love that. I love that so much.
He is your soulmate because what it is, you came into the world to do something together, and then you have to tell your partners, well, you're my twin flame. You know, you're in the balance, okay? But what happens, she's afraid because she sees that he's going to call you out on something if something goes wrong. He's going to say, hey, listen, what is she doing? Okay?
Let's see how good you are. Does he listen to that?
No, he tells you after the fact. What's your birthday?
January 18th.
What sign are you, Aquarius?
I'm Aquarius.
Capricorn.
January 30th.
You're the Aquarius. You lived a long life together. Because you know it was very giving.
Oh, yeah.
And she helps a lot of people.
Yeah.
But you have a lot of good angels around you, as well as you do.
I was going to say, talk about me a little bit.
Anthony. Who's Anthony connected with you?
Anthony? I mean, I got a cousin, Anthony. My uncle Tony. Uncle Tony's blood.
No, Uncle Tony and that side of the family, they have a personality that's very, very good because you can always be happy with your family. They always laugh. And you're never going to have to want for anything. Nothing at all. You're going to do well. See, you know what you do well? Security. You need a roof over your head and your bed. You do better when you're in bed at night because you feel good about yourself.
Could have fooled me.
Yeah.
I used to call him Franco doesn't miss a night out, Van Durka.
Yeah, but when he's in bed and he's secure, he feels good, you know, but he has anxiety, and it's normal, about the future. Don't have anxiety about the future. It's going to be very good for you.
Thank you. Thank you for that. No, see, this is awesome, man. You know, having you come down. Like I said, I haven't really gotten to tell the story about how we met yet, which I'm dying to tell.
When are we going on? Are we on air?
Yeah,
now?
we've been. Yeah, we've
I
been.
had no idea we were on air.
Yeah, no.
Thank you, THC.
We're in the air right now. But no, so, you know, I mean, we told Mario the story, but for everyone that doesn't know, when me and Josh first started doing the real estate, we got into the game. It was, you know, Josh has already been in the game for so long, so he was just like, hey, you know, do me a favor, make a bunch of these, you know, cold calls. I just got a sheet on a computer that would be a name and a number, and then the address, like the property, like the address of the property. I wound up, you must have been like my 150th call of the day. And he gets on the phone and
Was he on the phone when you were talking to me?
Josh? No, it was just me and you.
Oh,
It was
okay.
just me and you.
Did you record it?
No, I
wish we did.
It's recorded right up here, though. I'm telling you. He was, and this is just right from my cell phone. We had like a Google Voice number calling you, and he answers, and I think I might have called you by your first name, which like I think might have like thrown you for a loop at first. He let me do the whole spiel. I got on the phone like, hey, Mr. Donegan, this is Frankie. I'm a local real estate investor. I've been doing some work in the area, which we weren't doing any work in the area. We were just trying to get some houses. And long story short, he lets me go through the whole thing. And at the end, he's like, hey man, like this was really enjoyable, but I have no interest in selling this property or any of the other properties I own. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, all right. So, but then he started talking about his other assets, and for us, it's like, all right, other assets, like we got to try and fish these out, see like what he's working with. And then went from that to look up this website. And it was www.thepsychicgodfather.com. So I type it in my computer and I'm looking, I'm like, this is who I'm fucking talking to right now. And
Did you realize that?
Right when you said it. But then he was like, this is who you're speaking with. And I was like, oh my God. And now I'm in my room. I'm in my room by myself. Lights are off. Like just
The Twilight Zone.
I'm telling you. And I can't lie to you.
Light
man,
up again,
Franco, I am the Godfather.
I'm looking at the picture. I'm like, this is crazy. And then I can't lie to you, man. At that time, I was like a little hesitant because he was like, you want to do like a quick reading? And in my head, like, I was fresh off a bone. I'm like, no shot. And he started talking about my dad's sister who was in the hospital at the time. And he was like, she's going to be okay, this and that. 2 days later, not even maybe a day later, she gets admitted from the hospital. And then like a couple of months later, she wound up passing. But I'm sitting in my room like, I got to get off this phone because I'm freaking out right now. This guy is on point with everything he's saying.
Wow.
It's like he entered into the world of The Simpsons.
No joke. I'm telling you, I was sitting there like, this is the last cold call I'm making, probably for the week. Like after this, I called Josh right away. I'm like, I just got a psychic reading over the phone.
And that's good. What did he say when you told him what transpired?
Josh loved this, man. He loved, because we were setting a lot of meetings too, which is pretty cool, like a lot of appointments, and he just loved like hearing like how many phone calls I'm making. I actually enjoyed making the phone calls too, so like it wasn't like I didn't feel like I was working.
Well, you have a good voice. You have
Thank
a
you.
very good voice. What it is that you're very good for band radio. You're very good, speaking. You're a great auditor. I saw that in my mind when I was speaking to him. And then I realized that he needed help and that this was his job. And what it is that you were doing a cold call. And I said, I'm just going to go along with this. And what happened is that, and I turned it around because he was enjoyable to speak to. You know that.
Yeah.
We wound up talking on the phone for probably 45 minutes. Mm-hmm. Like literally 45 minutes. I get off and I told Josh, and which was funny because I told you guys I was on the way here. I called Josh. We were celebrating Tyler's wedding, his brother's wedding on Sunday. Congratulations, T. But I called Josh. I'm like, you're never gonna guess who I have coming on the podcast. And he's like, who? I'm like, remember when we were doing the real estate and I brought up the Psychic Godfather? He's like, bro, no fucking way. He's like, I can't even keep in touch with my mother. And like, and you're bringing the Psychic Godfather on. He's like, it's crazy.
Well, what's interesting is that I got coined the Psychic Godfather because of being, an advisor to John Alite, and it was quite interesting because John decided that he was going to go on Siri Radio.
Okay.
So when he went on Siri Radio, he decided that he was going to speak about Jason, which is me, which they call Jay because of my 3 different names, the triple J. And what happened was he contacted me and he sent me this clip, and all of a sudden I'm listening to it, and as I'm listening to it, I said, he's speaking about me. And then there was a little explosion behind the scene, like behind the curtains, which I handled very, very nicely. When it comes to John Alite, okay, I walked with him, I spoke with him, I ate with him, I enjoyed him, I guided him spiritually. During those days, okay, that he was getting advice from me and recommending people to me, this was my friend. I did not know anything outside of that aura that he basically presented to me. Mm-hmm. And when I realized that there could be something that could be challenging him, I helped him move it along and turn his life completely around. And he's doing so well, thank God. Sadly, he lost his daughter to fentanyl. And he is an advocate, and he's advocating. And right now I understand he's in Europe because he sent me that response on Facebook. So you help everyone. And with John's situation, and a lot of people, ask me, well, you're spiritual, and then you're dealing with famous and then infamous people. I said, but the famous and the infamous all need spiritual help. Mm-hmm. They all need to be healed. So he jumped the hurdle, and he did very, very well. And now he is who he is today. And that's who I even like even better. And what it is that this is what life is about, is helping people. See, the whole idea of life is fun, laughter, and happiness. Money, everyone in the world is a billionaire. You just have to learn your own combination. And then you're going to have anything that you want. Because in the 23rd Psalm, it says, you can have anything. He leadeth us into the pastures. What happens is that, like you said, even with cannabis, it's presented to us, okay, to be healed, to be fed, and to be healed.
I want to talk about you for a second. You said you came from, you have a lineage of psychics in your family, correct?
Yes, my mother's family, the Torah family. Everybody has a lineage in psychic ability. It just happens in my family, it was more pronounced in my mother, Claire, and her sister, Rita, who they call Terry. And what happens is that there's all shamans within every family. Some people will be a natural, other people would want to learn it, and then other people are introduced to it later because they're going through something emotionally.
Okay. So when did you know, when did you know that you had this power? What was you have to remember, what was that time in your life that you were like, oh my God,
I lived at Plaza Apartments in Queensboro Plaza, which is called Dutch Kills. And we lived on the 5th floor. And I was in my room, which was in the back of the building. And I was playing with Elsie the cow in a slinky.
Okay.
My mother came in and I said, Mom, Elsie just died. So my mother looked at me and she went, Elsie just died. She thought it was Elsie the cow from Borden's because they were having, at that time, Borden's was very big with Elsie the cow. That was part of the brand. And she said, oh, I'm sorry that Elsie died. And then the phone rang. And it was her girlfriend's husband. And he said, Claire, he goes, Elsie just hung herself in the basement of their home. So after my mother hung up, she walked back and she heard me talking. And she's listening to it. And then my mother walked in, she goes, who are you talking to? And I said, I told you, Elsie's here. And Elsie was very close to my sister Patricia and I. At that point, my mother said, let's not discuss this with your father because we need to keep this between you and I. And from that point on, I knew, okay, I could hear, see, and figure things out. Like I have a learning disability, and I was fortunate enough to have Albert Schenker. I don't know if you guys are very young. Albert Schenker was the head of the union for the teachers in New York City. He lived at 4124 29th Street, and he tutored me. And his mother was my babysitter with my sister. So we were tutored, with, Jewish rabbis as well, because Mrs. Schenker would get us, the help that we needed for school. So here I am, in Yiddish, I'm the goyim. So I go to a parochial school, and the nun looks at me, she goes, what did you just say to me? And I just didn't answer her. And she goes to the principal comes in, they call my father, and my father also went to the school, and they didn't want to deal with my father because they knew my father was a real tough guy. And my father comes to the school, and he says, are you speaking Italian? I said, I didn't speak anything because I was told by the rabbi, never admit to anything. So I was protected. So I was like, I don't know what's going on. I called her a Meshuggah. which means you're crazy. Leave me alone. You're confusing me. And what happened is that my life was friends to the Jewish community. And I embraced the Jewish community with my heart because of Mrs. Shanker and Mr. Shanker. And what happened is that when I went on my journey, like I was speaking to you, when you go on your journey, I was able to take my after card from being on Another World, the soap opera, which I wasn't that famous, okay? I wasn't even famous for throwing a Shakespearean spear, but at least I got my after card. That's all that mattered. And it all gelled together when I got a full scholarship and I got diagnosed at NYU with a learning disability. Wow. But I got a 3.33.
Awesome.
I did it. I aced it, okay? And I used everything that I learned in my Lambeth, okay, to excel. And I never said to myself, gee, why is this happening? I just kept on going. And that's what you're doing, Mario, and that's what you're doing. So anything that's a knock is a boost. But if you start to ponder on it and say, gee, why is this happening? You know, God's going to sit with you and say the same thing. Gee, what's happening? Yeah. You know, you tell God, I'm going to get up and do this like you guys are doing this. Mm-hmm. You're going to make your life. And that's what it's all about.
One of my favorite lines recently that I heard was, rejection is God's protection.
That's very good. And who said that? Do we know?
I forget who the guest was on the. I love the Ed Milet podcast.
Okay.
I love it. Every Tuesday morning I wake up and my mind knows it's Tuesday. I don't know. I never know what day of the week it is when I wake up, but on Tuesdays I know it's Tuesday, and I know that there's a new Ed Milet podcast.
Because you're using your psychic ability, called out of body experience.
So yeah, I love that podcast, and I heard it on there, and you know, God is setting you up for something else. You know, that's all rejection is.
Rejection is only a stop sign.
I like that.
And when you're stopped, you're able to decide whether you want to make that right or make that left, or if you want to make that U-turn and just basically go the opposite direction. When someone rejects you for whatever reason it is, we can't look at it's our fault. They have something that's going on with them that's bothering them, and you're a threat. You intimidate. And if you intimidate somebody, they're going to try to what? Bring you down.
Let's talk about this dessert real quick, though. We got our funnel cake fries, infused New York pot butter chocolate syrup, and infused caramel sauce as well. We were going to go with something rainbow today, but Harry pulled these out of the back burner. And I couldn't be happier.
You said infused caramel sauce,
Infused
right?
caramel sauce. This is the infused chocolate syrup right here. Mm-hmm. The caramel sauce is also just a little drizzle on top.
So, you touched on your relationship with some, well-known people, high-profile people, particularly, people involved with the mob. How stressful was it working with the mob? And, were you nervous?
I was always on a helicopter going to Atlantic City or a private jet. I don't think I was nervous at all. If something went wrong, I just basically, shopped at Saks Fifth Avenue on Fifth Avenue while anything that was going down was going down. I enjoyed my life. Enjoyed it so much, basically, I have a great wardrobe. And as you see, I'm well jeweled. And there was nothing in the world that I could have asked for because it was always given to me.
That's so awesome. And at one point, you did meet John Gotti himself, right?
Yes, I did.
And what was that experience like?
He was always a gentleman, and he was very intuitive. And believe me, he's very spiritual. And even in the afterlife, he's spiritual.
Really?
And it was a very good experience for me. And I know him in a different way. I know him as John. And that was down at the Yankee Clipper in Fort Lauderdale, where I have a home since I've been 18 or 19. And that I built, and was fortunate that I was able to build that home with my uncle Nicholas Lippis. And when the guys would come down, I would get a phone call, and I would be on the beach enjoying myself. And When they had to do business, I was shopping, and I just had a great time.
Killing me. He's like, oh, you guys got this, right?
And
I'll
when
be
I
here in
look
spirit, I
back,
promise.
I look back and I have to smile because, when you live a life like I've lived, spiritually and gifted, and around a whole different kaleidoscope of people, I'm treated very well. And now that I look back, I think, wow, I lived this life, and a lot of people don't understand how anyone could live a life like I lived it.
And that kind of goes into my next question. I was going to ask you, like, what's an interesting fact you learned about these mobsters, from your interactions with them that, most people wouldn't know or wouldn't think they were like? Or what was your, what's something that you know about them that maybe we don't?
Well, one in particular, Tom Felicia, which is the interior decorator, he was on Queer Folks. He had dated Greg Calejo, who's in public relations. And Greg and I hooked up at Mary Lou's. And at the table, there was Priscilla, my good friend Phyllis Keitlin, and who sat at the table next to me like you was Nunzio Gambino, who owns the VIP club in New York City. And I'm sitting down and I'm enjoying myself, and Priscilla has these beautiful pearls on, and she's an Upper East Side gal, so is Phyllis Keitlin, who's a top designer in her field. And he looked at me and he said, Jay, I understand you have the gift of sight. And now Greg is on my right. And I turned and I looked at him, and then all of a sudden I looked around the whole entire room, and then I realized where I was and what Mary Lou's was about. It was a home base for the boys. And I lit a cigarette, and, well, I should say I got a cigarette, and what happened is I was thinking, he lit my cigarette, and then Priscilla got very chatty and started talking over all of us, and he turned to her like this. I love those pearls. They're beautiful. And if you don't shut up, I can't wait to choke you with them. And at that point, I realized that I was at the table with the Nunzio Gambino, and we hit it off. And then Nunzio was fantastic. He said to me, you're coming to my New Year's Eve party. And one of the ladies that were at the table was Cicely, and Cicely was the editor to Playgirl. So that night, Greg and I left, and that was an interesting experience between two guys. And I still speak to Greg today. A lot of fun, a lot of laughs. And I was at a party for New Year's, and Cicely got a phone call. And she said, oh. And then she put on speaker, and he said, put Jason on. It was Nunzio Gambino.
Asking for you by name.
Yes, and he said, put Jason on. It's not my phone, it's her phone. I'm enjoying myself. And he said, you were invited to my party at the El Morocco. I'm sending a car for you right now. Give me the address. You're being picked up. I gave the address. I was picked up. Phyllis Keitlin, Priscilla, Cecily, Greg. Everybody piled into my car, and we went to the El Morocco. I walked in, and there was Nunzio, very handsome with his girlfriend. And he said, Jason, you can have anything in the world that you want. Just ask me for it. That's a big gift from anybody.
Kidding me?
And he said, what do you want? And I said, it's your birthday. Let's have a happy birthday. And we celebrated New Year's, and he came in. Everyone is human. I mean, what happens between a corporation and another corporation, or an organization or another organization, or what's legal? Like I told Nunzio when he asked me, do I have any enemies? And I said, let's look at it this way. If we put a line down the table here, which we're putting a line right to me, on the right side, everything is legal. But if you come over the fence and it's the federal government of the USA, we got a problem. So we have to stay on the fence that we know we're protected on. So it's not my place to judge spiritually. It was my place to give compassion, guidance, and spiritual direction so they feel good about themselves. And I was very blessed to have everyone famous or infamous in my life. You know, there's an old myth that, you know, what I do is very taboo. Today it's more open. And what it is that I build my life with, I read 60 people a day in downtown Brooklyn, and I became the resident psychic. And then from there, I created being the resident psychic on Charles Lane in New York City, which was the Center for Esoteric Knowledge, which is Seek. And May Pang came to me. And May Pang was the girlfriend that was chosen, from what she said, by Yoko Ono, okay, to be with John Lennon. Juliet Mills came to me, and I was invited with her husband was Maxwell Caulfield to see Salonika. So I was living my life, and by living my life and helping people, it's like what we're doing now. We met, you know, a great chef, you know, K. Harry, you know, Poole, and this is what it's all about, you know, and you enjoy yourself. And whether it's being on a park bench, eating a tuna fish sandwich, or, you know, being flown over to, you know, Saint Tropez and being on a yacht, it's the same thing. It's just life is an illusion. As long as you're happy with people, that's what it's.
And you're doing it with other people.
Yes, exactly.
Who are just like yourself.
Yes, and then there's people that need help, and that's another issue. Some people, I have to say, I can't be your coach every day. And, you know, I'm here to help you and direct you, but you take your tools and now you have to leave. And a lot of people don't want to leave. People want to be dependent. And I have to be reclusive, not because I want to. I have to be, okay, because I can't have people to be dependent on me. I need to have my life as well. You know, right now, I'm enjoying giving my charity to celebrate St. James and St. James, and you know, working with the Calogero Theater, which my home base office is at. And it's all about, you know, helping other people, and that's where the love is.
If you had one person to sit down to dinner with that you could ask any question to, dead or alive, who would it be?
Kathy Hilton, my best friend. Because every day is a laugh.
That's so awesome.
Yes.
So your best friend?
Best friend, my sister from another mother, and then Kimberly, which is Kim Richards, and then Kyle. And I just worked on sending them Jonathan Adler telephones from their mother, who's deceased, but Kathy. And I said, we need to just basically have happy times and sing that song, Kathy. And they just had a wedding in Aspen for Kimberly Richards' daughter, Whitney, who's just absolutely precious and gorgeous. And the sisters all united, so they're together. Nice. And I'm very happy because Kathy and I, we can talk, we can cry, and we can basically figure things out together. And I'm very faithful to my friend. I'm very faithful to Kathy Hilton. And I'm also very faithful to Lauren King, whose husband was Richard King from King World. And these are my clients, and they're my friends, and they're my family. And I don't take advantage, you know. I don't need to ask for anything. If something's going to present itself to me, it's going to present itself like this interview presented. Yep. And this is a gift. And but when I'm with Kathy, there's always happiness, laughter, tears, and we just had a really good experience with her with the Rich Housewives of Beverly Hills. And I said to her, you're going to say this, this, and this. And she went out and she went, and I was like, yes, yes. I said, knockout. And Kathy is so genuine, and she's so full of heart, and she was misjudged, but with her and I on the phone and discussing, you know, compassion and love, I said, it's tough love. You have to give that, you got to knock this brought out. And what happened, this board was knocked out by Kathy. She knocked out everyone. She just basically, I was like, whoa, sis, go. And then, Kimberly Richards, which is her sister, and we were just laughing because Kathy did so well. And, I feel that, Kathy's going to get her own show by, Andy Cohen. And she has a lot to offer because she does a lot of cooking. She's a great cook. She's Italian and Irish like I am. So what happens is that she's into designing. She's into clothing. She had a gift shop in California. I mean, there's nothing Kathy hasn't done that we can't talk about because I even had a gift shop. She had a gift shop. Kathy and I talk, and we could talk for hours and just laugh, okay? And then Rick would be like, what's going on? And then I'll be speaking to Rick. And then what happens is that then from there, okay, Paris will give you a call. And Paris is so cute. I got a message. I think I sent you, the message. I was talking to you about it. She was on her way. She goes, I'm on my way to Dubai. I'll give you a call. And she gives you a call. And with Paris, she lost her dog. And I had said, this is very interesting, the dog went past a horse. And at that time, she lived in a gated community. And they found the horse. And you know what it was? It wasn't a regular horse, but it was a horse. It was the Headless Horseman.
The statue?
It was Halloween, so someone had that decoration out. Oh my God. So that was an affirmation that the dog went that way. The dog has not been found, but I do feel that there's been two thoughts, like a coyote could have got the dog, or if the coyote did get the dog, we would have found some evidence of that. She was moving, I believe, that day, and I believe that somebody picked up the dog because the dog was only about this big. Yeah, little guy. So, and then with Lady Gaga, I sent an email which I showed you, and I described everything that was going on. And I wasn't worrying about the $500,000, but it would have been nice. And everything I said to Lady Gaga's team, they never responded to me, but I was dead on. I sent you the email, and we see the dates on it as well. But you do things from your heart. And that's what, what's good. And whether they're infamous or whether they're famous, listen, I'm infamous, I'm famous, you're infamous, he's famous, you're famous, he's infamous. We all go through, the cycle. And we all basically have to live together. We all live under one sky.
That's it.
So we got to make it, or we're basically not going to be happy.
I got one last question for you before we bring this oven out. So are you going to run for George Santos' seat in Congress?
Interesting you should say that.
Little birdie told me to bring this out here today. So
I am an LGBT community member. I did get the Paul Rappaport Scholarship. I was very offended by George Santos with his claims. I am, because I was tutored by Albert Shanker, the president of the Board of Education. I am a friend to the Jews, even though I am Jewish and Catholic, Catholic with, being raised, but Jewish because of, my upbringing. I'm a friend to the Jews, and I think that we need someone in the seat that's going to represent, me. I mean, he's representing everything that I am, and that I worked hard for with a learning disability at Marymount Manhattan College, and I do know people that knew him, when he was part of the 3rd District, when he ran the first time out here, Comax Midtown. And, I listened to them, talk. Whatever situation that he has, it's going to be very good for Congress for mental health. But will I run? Well, right now, I just prepared my portfolio for Bill Ellis, the GOP, and I would have to go to Nassau County. And we're going to see how that, unravels. But I have the education, I have the background, I have love for my country in the USA, and I have to be honest with you, I'm a registered Republican, but I'm friends with the Democrats. And when my Democrats call me up and they ask me to go in front of the town of Midtown, which they just did recently, for the anti-bias task force, and they wanted to incorporate it with the word unity. And I said, no. I went in front of them. I said, as a rape victim of the village of Nessaquag, and you all know who this man was. He was on the radar for many, many years, and I didn't mention his name. He's passed. I said, I don't think a rape victim should think about unity at a time of being violated. And I made a very good point with that. And we'll see what transpires. I mean, I'm very fortunate to have good mentors, John Kennedy, the Suffolk County Controller, and Leslie Kennedy, the 12th District Legislator, and they happen to be married. So, and I do know them, well, and we enjoy each other's company. And we had an incident, which I'll basically leave you with this. I was at Governor Zeldin's charity event in Nessaquag, which was a very big affair at Steve Laurie's. And Councilman Lohman was talking to me. And then all of a sudden, I was walking, and everybody was waiting for Donald Trump Jr. and also Kimberly. And what happened is that it was I that basically greeted Donald Trump Jr., and he gave me a really great punch because I gave him a very good spiritual message from his mom. And then Kimberly, I said, Kimberly, you're so beautiful. I said, can I kiss you? So then I said to Mr. Lohman, he goes, well, if you need anything, let me know. I said, no, it's the other way around. If you need anything, you let me know. And I am the president of the entire town of Smithtown Neighborhood Watch. So I do the best I can. I get signs up, for no dumping. I get signs up for deer crossing. These little things, matter because what it is, it's saving a life and it's pulling the community together. So we will basically see how that...
Yeah. Well, best of luck, man.
It's a ridiculously small oven, and most of the time, some ridiculous questions come out of here.
Okay, that's great.
So I'm going to pull one out. I'll read it to you. And
then I have to answer it.
yes, please.
Okay.
Are eyebrows considered facial hair?
Hey, one of my questions. There's very few of mine.
Eyebrows considered facial hair. Eyebrows would be considered brow hair.
Brow hair.
Brow hair?
Yeah.
You think it's facial hair?
Facial
No, I
hair
think
is here,
Yes, this is your face.
and this is your brow, so it would be brow hair.
Well, I see, I'm happy I asked this question because I would have never
Thought of it that way?
thought of it that way, no. Because I would have thought, it's facial-ish hair, but...
Well, we could get away with it because it's a whole face, but if I'm going to draw your face and do the anatomy, okay, the hair would be on your brow. It wouldn't be on your face.
On your face.
Yeah, like if the guy was like, okay, guys, now draw some facial hair.
Yeah, no, they
You're
were
drawing
yeah,
this.
Right.
yeah,
That was
You're not
that the
drawing that.
craziest question you can come up with? It was a pleasure, John.
Thank you so much for joining us. This was
No,
a
no.
blast.
Seriously, man. Like we said before, for this coming full circle like this, finally meeting you in person, rather than meeting you in spirit, this is really awesome.
It was a blessing. It definitely was. So to meet both of you. So it was my pleasure. Well, I'll see you definitely again.
Thank you so much.
And dinner was enjoyable, and I hope our chef enjoyed his flowers. Our chef, Henry Poole, whose meal was excellent.
Yes,
Please
Harry,
come down
Harry, as
to
usual.
Jackson's because it's here in Comac, my hometown, and it's delicious.
And if you haven't already, you're already 40 minutes into this video. Do us a favor, click the subscribe button on the YouTube. Sign up for notifications. Follow us on Instagram @theoven_pod.
Share with your friends.
And come back next time, because there's always an open seat for you at the Oven.
You're listening to the Oven Podcast. Thanks for tuning in.